Windsock. So windsock. Call it a dead cat. When on a windy day, it takes out the noise. What's that? It does. I call it a dead cat.
Okay, terrible.
Windsock is not really true. That's what predicts the direction of the wind, but that's more polite than dead cat. So did Gaetan and Lauren explain how blockchain works to you? They gave up on me, I think that's too.
Yeah. The real question is, does she care how it works?
Not really.
That's an excellent point.
I'm on my own 2.0. No need for all that.
What did you say? Denial is underrated as a coping mechanism.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
I'm not worried about AI because
I live by it.
I like it. I'm not worried about AI because I'm not worried about AI.
Yeah. That's like a very Diana approach to most things.
Putin invades Europe. Not my problem.
Yeah.
Because they were out here looking around.
Mary doesn't have his glasses.
Oh.
2 p.m. beer.
Ah.
You have to censor my entire profile.
Yeah, just put an awkward black rectangle there.
Grana can get, what is it that you wore when you were doing the Triple G stuff, Joe?
Yeah, just the huge black veil.
There you go. So I'll Photoshop that on later.
Just a picture from the one angle, no matter what. Doom sprite it. Yeah.
Actually, come over and make amends because I called the supervisor.
Oh, I don't think he'll be offended. Hi there.
Well, I'm going to offer him.
Now, what's your little guy's name again?
This is Isaac.
Isaac. How are you, Isaac?
Can you say hello?
You having fun?
He likes to wave. He was really like an Aunt Kathy.
Ah, very good. Very good. I'm curious if Kathy remembers us taking John and Joe here when they were kids.
Oh, they have to, right?
Right? Yeah, because you used to come over here with them sometimes. We have so many good videos of you playing with your cousins.
I know.
It's a big smile.
My little babies.
Yeah, no, it was...
Little babies.
Yeah, it was like I was just asking Kathy because I was over at St. Mary's today for Mass. They had it in a gym, which brought back memories of middle school. And I was like, how different would life have been if 3M didn't close the Bedford Park plant?
Oh.
You know, it's like our whole life would have been, be a totally different track in life, you know? First, I thought that cat was a raccoon. You guys having fun?
Yeah. What is that?
That is a GoPro, and that is a, they call it a dead cat. It's the microphone's covered with it, so if it's windy, you don't pick up the wind noise. So it'll hear your voice without all the background noise. How are you, Will? Danger, huh, Grandpa? I don't think... I don't think Elliot approves of your hazard assessment there, Grandpa. It's not dangerous, it's fun. I'm going to be curious if Kathy has any recollection of taking John and Joe here, because I'd forgotten until we drove up.
This is quite the park.
It's really nice. When we lived at the farm, that was a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it was, we used to bring the boys over here fairly often.
Yeah, I was surprised this morning when I came over here and wow, that's a really nice setup for the kids.
And I'm pretty sure this was here, whatever that was, you know, better part of 20 years ago, probably over 20, yeah, 25 years ago. This was almost exactly as it is now.
Very cool.
What's that, Will?
Is that a real microphone?
This is that's right. This is a cover of the microphone, so it doesn't pick up the wind noise, and that's a GoPro. If you look on this side with me, you can see whatever we're filming. Isn't that kinda cool? Yep. So if you want to say hi.
Hi. But isn't it supposed to make noises louder?
Yeah, you know, I don't so much make them louder, but that's the right idea, right? Is that way you can hear them better. Take care, Will. We'll see you later.
I'm taking care of the dog.
So, Nick, did you used to come out here when you were a kid? Yeah. That's what I said. Joe doesn't remember a lot, but he was really little when he used to come over here. But I'd be curious if John remembers much of it. And that playground to me hasn't changed in 25 years. It's about what it was.
I think they just did something to it, though, because I thought it was falling apart.
Oh, maybe they repaired it?
I think so.
I guess they could add some things and I wouldn't notice. like the little train down in the pit down there.
That's all like from when we were like really young.
Yeah, it's nice to have those kind of memories.
Yeah, I was actually just a couple of years ago came out here every day and went running on the fitness trail.
Oh,
So,
wow. Yeah.
It's nice.
Peaceful trail.
Yeah, it's a good point. And it is a nice park that a lot of people in Lake County don't even know is here, right?
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Finally getting out of the house reasonably consistently. So my friend has like a Newfoundland. It's like a mix.
Proof of
Hello.
life.
You had to sneak around with it.
Yeah, no, I'm in India.
Oh, that's right. I knew that.
Roman dog Atticus.
What Loretta said, you try to keep the Peters apart, and ultimately there was the Peter with the bushy mustache, and that was the Peter who apparently ran a sawmill or something there in Koski. Used to go there when she was a little girl, and I'm trying to remember who that would have been. Would that be your dad's father, or was that your dad's grandfather?
I don't know.
Not a problem. It's so hard to keep track because we're all named Peter and Mary.
Yeah, everybody was Peter and Mary. My grandparents were Peter and Mary. My mother and father were Peter and Mary, although they were not the same blood family, but they seemed to be the most popular names for the Lithuanians in that area. So.
You remember Monica got in trouble, got punished for writing her family tree? Because the teacher said she cheated.
Too many Peters and Marys.
Obviously named us Peter and Mary, but a child named Peter who married a girl named Mary, who, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, so where do you want to pick up the story? Bond's Restaurants, life in Perry Avenue?
Okay, well, somebody today asked our family came to the U.S. permanently because in the early part of the 20th century, people went back and forth. And that's how I ended up being a third-generation American, and you ended up being a fourth-generation American. The original Peter and Mary came to the U.S. Now this is Dad's family. They came to the U.S. with the idea they would work for a while and then return to Lithuania.
Oh, so that was always their plan, was to make money and then take it back home.
Right. On the other hand, Mary, my mother's family, came with the idea that they would settle here.
Okay, and that's the Narekas.
Yeah, the Narekas. So, but as it turns out, my grandmother, Nareka, was pregnant and her ankles were swelling. So they went to the doctor. The doctor said the air in the United States did not agree with her. She needed to return to Lithuania. And she did so. And she died in childbirth because the doctor could not get to her. She bled to death.
Oh, gosh.
So that was a little bit of a bitter pill for the rest of the family, and the rest, and especially for my mother, because there she was orphaned. She had a stepmother who didn't like her, and you know, here she was a U.S. She had been born. Both my father and mother were born in Worcester, while the families were there. So they were both U.S. citizens, and by birth.
Yep.
And she was known to the boys in Lithuania as the American. They used to
So they all
her.
knew, okay.
They all knew that she had American citizenship. When she was around 16 years old, one of the uncles offered to pay her way. She could not, education was not free. She could not read or write at this point in time. One of the uncles volunteered to pay her way to the United States. There was an aunt who was already in the U.S., Aunt Valatka.
Okay, so the Valatkas were related to the Narekas.
Correct.
Okay.
Tata Valatka was my mother's mother's sister.
Okay.
So
okay.
she was my mother's aunt.
Okay, and this is the mother who died in childbirth in Lithuania.
Correct.
Now, I forget to ask, so that was not Grandma being born. Grandma had siblings.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Grandma
So she's
had-
a little girl back in Lithuania when her mother dies.
Right. She was
Okay.
4 years old when her mother died.
Okay.
And I don't know how old her brother was. I forget whether he was older or younger than her. I think he might have been younger. But the uncle who volunteered to pay her way also taught her to write her name. You had to be able to write your name
Okay.
to come to the U.S. So he volunteered to do that. He taught her that. She came to the U.S. She lived with the Volotkas when she came here. There were at least two other sisters, Adele and Aldona.
Okay.
And I think there was a boy, but I don't know. I don't really know about him.
Do you remember that family's maiden name, like their sister's maiden
The
name?
Volotkas, they were Narekas. The aunt was a Nareka.
Oh, so she was the sister of her father.
No, you're right.
Yeah, 'cause
you're right.
Mary Nareka, that's her dad's name,
You're
yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Okay.
And Grandma used to
There was like a
throw out names
Marcinkiewicz
like
was-
there were a whole bunch of names that. And Lisa wrote this down at one time. There was
All too. I found like in the back of a photo it would say Marcinkiewicz, but then someone else shortened that. And like, do you remember the Shimkus? I don't remember how they're related to us.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I took you off the subject. So
All right.
she's
So anyway, she
multiple
comes
aunts
to
are
the
in
U.S.
Worcester. Okay.
She can't read or write English. She's never been to school a day in her life. She works. She gets various jobs, mainly as cleaning houses.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, and she's working for a family. They take her in. Mr. Valaka went to visit her, found that they were mistreating her, and brought her back home.
Okay. And that was all within Worcester to your knowledge.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything's in Worcester. The Lithuanians just seem to cling to Worcester. Dad, meanwhile, had come to Worcester to work with plans of going back.
Okay.
He was continuing that tradition, but he found he liked it here. He was working at the wire mill, apparently getting comfortable in the Lithuanian community, so he didn't want to go back. And Didi Juozas, his brother, said that before you knew it, they were getting a letter from him saying he wasn't coming back, that he was going to stay in the U.S. He also, having been born here, was a U.S. citizen, so for him it was easy as well.
Now, do you remember, because this came up when we were talking to Kostya, do you remember which of the other brothers was born here? Because Kostya had mentioned like was Juozas also born here? Do you remember?
I don't think so. I think Dad was the only one. Tata Valenciana may have been born here because do we want to get into her and the pregnancy and what brought
That's
her?
cousin Charlie and all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want. I mean, everybody who would have been embarrassed by it's long since moved on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well. So, Dad was over here working, sent the letter back that he was going to stay. Meanwhile, Tata Valenciana, Tata Mary, is over there, falls madly in love with a Lithuanian soldier. Apparently, and she gets pregnant. Big taboo.
So she was married when
She was not married.
she was not. That's what I
She
remembered.
was,
Okay, single girl. Okay.
She was a single mom. Yeah, horrible taboo in Lithuania. So Dad always had it in his head that he would bring her here, pay her way here, and he worked towards that. They could not afford to bring Charlie over at the time. He was the illegitimate son.
Oh, so he was actually born in Lithuania.
He was born in
I
Lithuania.
did not know that.
Yeah.
Now, the other story they told us in Lithuania was that the brothers confronted the young man, the father of the child.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah, and he refused to marry her, and they beat the tar out of him. Like, they didn't kill him, but they beat the tar out of him. You know?
Yeah, I had heard that. Yeah, and in Worcester, that was a tradition too.
Hi.
If Lithuanians were somehow, thank you. Oh, thank you. There was a case of a Lithuanian fellow who was beating his wife, and the neighbors knew about it. The men from the Lithuanian club came and visited this fellow, and he never beat her again.
A little bit of frontier justice.
Yeah. So we don't know what they told him or how they did it, but he never beat his wife again. So anyway, Dad, let me see the sequence of events here. At the Lithuanian club, Mary Noreika, who is reputed to be the best dancer in the club, had many men following her.
You see, Grandma always loved to dance.
And I'm told that they used to beat each other up for the affections of the females. If there was more than one, the Lithuanian men would fight over these women and even hit each other in the head with rocks.
Oh, gosh.
So anyway, Dad won the contest.
So whoever hit the hardest with the biggest rock was Grandpa.
Whoever had the biggest rock won. So he was madly in love with Mom, and she was still staying at Volodka's. They needed the space for somebody else who was going to be staying there.
Okay.
So she thought, well, okay, this is a good time to get married. Apparently, and I've heard it was a very modern wedding. Her bridal gown was really beautiful, and the headpiece, and she had, I don't know how many bridesmaids. Meanwhile, Dad is still saving his pennies to bring over Tata Mary. Does so. She comes to the U.S. and she marries Vinicius.
Later, Walney. Right?
Yeah.
Named Walney. Yeah.
English,
Yeah.
anglicized would be Walney.
Yep. Yep. So to make sure this is still going. Yep, we're good.
We're working.
We're good. Yep.
So the Walneys moved down onto Douglas Street. We ended up living on Perry Ave, which was, I think, over a mile between the two houses, but in no motor vehicles. People would walk back and forth to visit. The Walneys faithfully came to Our Lady of the Church, which was the Lithuanian church in the center of the Lithuanian community, every Sunday, and they would stop after church and have coffee and visit. And the families were always very, very close.